Hello. I used to think that a parable was an illustration given to clarify things, and maybe there's some truth in that. But in Matthew chapter 13, Jesus suggests something very different. Matthew 13 verse 13 says, "I speak to them in parables, because while seeing, they do not see, and while hearing, they do not hear, nor do they understand." In this context, a parable is a riddle for those who have been granted to know the mysteries of the kingdom, which requires the help of the Holy Spirit and prayerful consideration and effort to unlock the lessons. The parable of the sower is unique in that it occurs in three Gospels: Matthew, Mark, and Luke. I would suggest that's not because God forgot what was in the other Gospels, nor because he just ran out of fresh stuff to say. I would suggest that there are two reasons at least for this repetition. First, repetition to emphasize the importance of this parable. And secondly, there are key differences between the accounts. So a prayerful consideration can unlock important truths in comparing these different versions, different accounts. The parable of the sower describes how the Holy Spirit sows seed of the kingdom for salvation, some for gifts of the Spirit, as outlines in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, and some may be seeds of a new worship song or a book or a new business, perhaps, that God might want you to develop. The focus of the parable is really on the ground where the seed lands. How receptive are we? In Matthew chapter 13 and verse 22, the one on whom the seed was sown on the good soil is the man who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and brings forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Now this speaks of something which is diminishing. Why? Well, anyone who expects to understand the things of the kingdom has a problem. Job chapter 11 and verse 7 says this: "Can you fathom the mysteries of God? Can you probe the limits of the Almighty? They are higher than the heavens above. What can you do? They are deeper than the depths below. What can you know? Their measure is longer than the earth and wider than the sea." In contrast, Mark chapter 4 verse 20 speaks of increase. "Those are the ones on whom the seed was sown on good soil, and they accept it and bear fruit 30, 60, 100-fold. What is the difference? Well, rather than expecting to understand, they are accepting by faith, and the fruit is increasing. Now, if we compare that to Luke chapter 8 and verse 15, it reads as follows: "And the seed on the good soil, these are the ones who have heard the word in an honest and good heart, and hold it fast, and bear fruit with perseverance." The result of that, Luke chapter 8 verse 8 says, "Other seed fell on good soil and grew up and produced a crop 100 times as great. Full stop. As Jesus heard these things, he would call out, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." So here we have it. The good news of the gospel is that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is within our reach. The Holy Spirit is sowing seeds of the kingdom, and God is challenging us. What kind of ground do we want to be? Luke chapter 8, verse 15. And the seed on the good soil, these are the ones who have heard the word in an honest and good heart, and hold it fast, and bear fruit with perseverance. Luke chapter 8, verse 8. Other seed fell on good soil and grew up and produced a crop 100 times as great. Thank you.